Yo, wanted to talk about the TV mode in the game because I don't like it. It seems like a lot of people don't like it. It seems like overall it's a bad feature of this game. In my opinion, I'm on, chapter 2. And it's gotten to the point now where the TV mode, there's more TV mode gameplay, even if I try to speed run the TV mode, because, the game stops because they have to explain where stuff is and story or whatever. The TV mode, even if I'm like speed running it, is longer gameplay than the actual gameplay where you're playing your three characters, right? So it's like the fuck. And to be honest, I thought for the longest time this was just in the game to combat rerollers, because if you don't know about gacha games and stuff, when it comes to like summons and stuff, they can't just give you all the summons for registering your account. In a perfect world, they could. That'd be awesome. I could probably have Ellen right now, but instead I can't. They don't do that because of the rerollers. What is rerolling? Rerolling is a strategy that some free-to-play players will use depending on the game. It's either really easy or it's a nightmare, and it seems like in this game they've made it a nightmare, because what rerollers will do basically is, because this game makes money through the gacha, they will bypass the gacha system by making an account, spending their summons. They don't get what they want, then they delete the account, they make a new account, and then rinse repeat till they get exactly what they want. They get the most value. They basically turn this game into their like a part-time or even full-time job, just to get out of giving the developers like $50 or something, or $100 or something, right? So yeah, they have to kind of backload a lot of the summons, at least the limited ones. So you have to get through a lot of the game you don't want to get through, just to get those summons, maybe even to start playing that character and content that you could have been playing them a while ago. And you don't want to pay money, you want to get it for free, but you're not a reroll scumbag, because I think those people are scumbags. I think they ruin the game for everyone else. They make the game more annoying and frustrating because the developers basically it's an arms race, and they basically have to design the game against those people, but at the same time, they can't make it too bad, because if they make it too bad, people won't play the game, because if it took like 100 hours to get 100 summons, no one would want to do that. It would destroy the rerollers, but at the same time, it wouldn't be good enough for the non-rerollers, so it's sort of this like balance tweak thing they have to do, and so everyone else gets fucked over because someone thinks that they should be able to play this game for free and have everything. So yeah, it's kind of annoying that we got to deal with that in pretty much any gacha game. I don't think it's that ridiculous to put $5 on this game, or any game really, unless you're like in a third world country or like super poor. But like, if most people could put $5 on this game, probably wouldn't have to deal with a lot of bullshit you deal in gacha games because of all the cringe free-to-play players. But nonetheless, that's why I thought the video mode was in the game, because it's to combat those people. But the more I've been looking at it, the more I've been thinking about it. I watched Asmongold's stream. He even pointed this out to some extent, which is that the tile sets in the game, the environments in the game are pretty much the same. And then on top of that, I've noticed that, at least in the story so far, the mob variety, there is some, but to be honest, even though they're different, it kind of just feels like it's the same mob, but blue or green or pink or red, but they're the same mob, pretty much. Maybe that's just because the combat's so like easy that you can't learn the mechanics of the enemies yet, because the game plays too easy for it to actually matter. I don't know, but either way, it just kind of feels like all the enemies in the story have been the same unless they're a boss. All the locations are more or less the same. The tile sets are kind of the same. There's in chapter 2, there's a rainy area for a boss, but other than that, it was just kind of the same tile sets. Again, maybe a little bit here and there different. But again, I think maybe what's going on is this is a mobile game after all. I think it was made more for mobile. So people aren't necessarily, maybe they've designed the gameplay in a way around mobile players more than they have PC players. So the amount of time people play on mobile games, they've mathed out and they've designed the game in a way to get, okay, the gameplay should last like 1 to 3 minutes. At the max is 3, right? So that's why, to some extent, the parry mechanic's overpowered right now. To some extent, that's why the skill chaining thing where you click your character's icon, they go bam, 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 they just do this flashy thing, kill everything. Maybe that's why it's so overpowered right now in the story, because they don't want you to be in that story section for too long, because if you're in it for too long, you'll start to notice this is the same zone. These are basically the same enemies. The enemies aren't really that interesting. Blah, 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 blah. They want you to be in it for only a little bit of time, and then the video mode or TV mode or whatever is the filler gameplay. It's the meat of the gameplay. The gameplay that they advertise and all that is what they want in the future the game to be. But currently, right now, it's the TV mode is the game, and that stuff is just kind of there as like a taste that you get, and you're supposed to not necessarily like the TV mode, so that way you remember the other content more fondly, and you won't like think of all its flaws necessarily because you're so fixated on why the TV mode's dog shit. Maybe that's what they're going for, and it's just kind of like it's a filler thing for budget reasons. Other thing too is like it could be psychological, maybe condition you not to like the TV mode, condition you to think that the bite-sized gameplay that you do get to play is amazing, so that you're excited for when you get to just do like 10 minutes of that, and then they never give you that 10 minutes, and they just keep on giving you in bite-sized ways throughout the story, and you keep on doing the TV mode stuff that makes you upset to be like the TV mode's bullshit, and the bite-sized gameplay is great. It also seems like the AI in the game isn't maybe necessarily the best either. When I like go out of my way not to attack and just try to like stand around, I notice the mobs are very simplistic in the way they fight. They don't really have a lot of like different kinds of attacks. They're just kind of like very one-dimensional, at least in the story so far. Unlike in Wuthering, where even like basic kind of open world mobs still have like maybe an extra attack, like they maybe have like 2 or 3 attacks they do, even if it's like a basic like a wolf enemy in the open world. It's like they still have like maybe 2 different attacks they can do. But all the mobs in this game overall, other than like bosses, pretty much are extremely one-dimensional, just do one thing. I don't know, maybe that will change down the road, but it would make sense then why the TV mode exists in that way, because you have maybe 2 chapters, maybe 3 chapters worth of that bite-sized gameplay that's not bite-sized. It's like 3 chapters worth of it, and then that way with the TV mode, the story, again, I thought the story bloat in this game, I know Asmongold's been complaining about that, and some other people have too. I thought that was just MiHoYo's style. They have really talented writers there, but at the end of the day, they sometimes just say more than they need to say, explain more than they need to explain. But maybe it's not unintentional. Maybe it is intentional. Maybe it's another mechanism, because they can't make it all TV mode. They also need there to be story, so they bloat the story. They put in a certain amount of TV mode, and then they put in the bites, and then they like carve up the story that was originally like 2 chapters, carve it up, and then are able to now make that 8 chapters or something. Maybe that was the strategy. Maybe it was also to get the psychological manipulation, get people to hate the TV mode, hate the TV mode, hate the TV mode. People like it, that's great, whatever. But we want most people to hate it, so they don't think about all the potential flaws and weaknesses of the actual game, and they actually are excited to play that game and they like that game and they're thinking about that game better than if we didn't have the TV mode in, and people wouldn't be complaining about the TV mode. They'd be like, there's not enough mob variety. There's not enough level layout variety, right? There's only like 2 places you can fight, or 3 or whatever, or 4. Snowbreak on release had, I think, like 5 or 6 like different locations you could fight on, and like you only had to get like maybe 1 or 2 chapters in to get there. And in this, it's like I've at best maybe seen 2 locations, other than like the training room, which is a 3rd one, but never seen that in the story. I don't know why it'd be in the story. So yeah, maximum 3 locations in this game, and then Action Timenin, when that came out, had like 10. So it's just like, yeah, and you could get there pretty much like in like 1, 2 chapters, 3 chapters, but in that game you get through like a chapter in like less than an hour easily, super quick. So yeah, I don't know. It's seeming like maybe that's the reason why the TV mode exists the way it is. It's actually designed to get people to not pay attention to the other flaws that might exist. It's designed more around mobile players, so mobile players won't be playing the game as long, so they'll do that bite-sized stuff for a little bit. When they get to play it, they'll love it, and then they'll be unable to play the game again for a little bit, and then when they come back to it, they'll be like, well, I remember the TV mode was dog shit. I remember the story, it was alright at times, and other times it was annoying. But you know what I do remember? I can't remember any complaints I had with the gameplay or whatever. And then bam, they do that, and over time condition you into thinking the gameplay's better than it might actually be. For you as a player personally, if that is what they're doing, I'm able to see through all that shit. I'm like, hey, I'm into repetitive shit. This game doesn't need to be Disneyland for me. It's not like every time I'm doing something, it needs to be a new experience, a new ride, a new adventure, or whatever. I'm not one of those low attention span people that just need something new and sparkly in my face every like couple seconds. I can have fun playing the same tile set for 100 levels with more or less the same enemies. Just make them a little bit more up the difficulty in some way for me, and then I'll be okay with it, But yeah, maybe I'm not the core demographic, and they, MiHoYo, they've met with enough psychologists and mathed this out and figured out that this is the best way to do it, because it doesn't really make any sense for me for them to have this mode in the game the way they have it. If like it seems like a lot of people, even before the game came out, like when the game was in beta and stuff, were saying this is dog shit, don't put this in the game, remove it, reduce it, give us a way to skip it, something like that, right? It seemed like everyone was on their ass about that, and then they even kind of nerfed it a little bit on one of the CBTs, and then when they did the live streams and all that stuff, apparently they didn't talk about the TV mode. They even like went out of their way, basically almost seems like not to make people think it wasn't even a feature of the game anymore, and then people are happy about that, and they hype up the game and all that, and then they get into the game, they find out actually not only is it still in the game, but it's like more or less the same. They barely like made it better. And again, if it was like, oh, well, some developer, it was like, he poured his heart and soul in this mode, it's his favorite thing or whatever, and it's like, that's why we put it in the game, that's why we force our players to play something that they don't want to play because some insecure developer or whatever. It's like, I feel like that's ridiculous. I don't know why the company would do something that ridiculous. I guess it's possible that something stupid like that's going on. I don't think that's really the real reason. I think what's the real reason is because they knew the feedback people were giving them on the CBT, they actually did listen to it. They didn't listen to the way people wanted them to listen to it, but they listened to it. They're like, oh good, the system's hated, people hate this. Yes, people are going to think this is dog shit. What are people saying about the gameplay? They're saying the gameplay is really good. They're saying the TV mode's dog shit. Okay, so it's working. They're like, okay, yeah, might have to tweak it a little bit, might have to change it a little bit, but overall it's working as intended. And then that's why I don't show on the live stream. because they want to lure people, more of those CBT people in to think that there's not in the game. They come into the game, it's in the game. Some of them are driven away, some other people aren't driven away, and eventually, the mathematics work out and they show their shareholders everything. They're like, look, we still end up making all this money because we did this psychological manipulation. So I really hope that's not what's going on, but that's honestly what makes the most sense to me. I don't know why they would have it in any other reason other than to make some kind of financial gain, because otherwise it seems like it's a financial loss to have it in the game the way it is right now. Seems like it's a net negative to them, unless there's a positive way that they can utilize it, which is the way I suggested, which would probably make them potentially more money, because if you can psychologically get people to play a game instead of just playing it because it's fun, then yeah, you might make a lot of money off people that don't even want to play your game, but will play your game because you've psychologically conditioned them to think that it's a really fun game, right? So you'll get more people to play your game rather than the people who just wanted to play already. So that might be a thing that they're doing. I mean, they're doing shit with the Battle Pass. They give you 8 pulls, 4 pulls and then another 4 with the currency, and then you're 20 off from a 5th one. Whereas with Weathering, you just get enough currency and 5 pulls, so you can get 9 pulls. It's still psychological trick with the 9 pulls, but this game double dips and they do it even more, so it wouldn't surprise me if they're also doing it somehow in the gameplay. I'm fine with the devil being the monetization. That's just kind of par for the course on mobile in general because of gacha games. Gacha games are super predatory. Usually they have all this shit. It's just kind of what you got to deal with as a mobile gamer. It is what it is. But at the end of the day, it's usually just the monetization. If they're putting it in the gameplay too, then yeah, that might even be a reason for me to quit this game, because if they don't even want to treat the players like people, they want to treat them like, I don't know, guinea pigs in some kind of social experiment to figure out how to extract the most money out of them, then yeah, I don't want to be your guinea pig. Even if your game's really fun, I'll quit your game and go play Weathering, because yeah, they don't treat you like a guinea pig in that game. It almost feels like this game, they treat you like a guinea pig, like you signed up for some kind of social experiment. At least with the TV mode, because that's the way my brain's going, because I can't think of any other reason why they would put bullshit in a game that people don't fucking want, most people don't fucking want, or at least put in a way to bypass it. Like, I can skip it, I won't get as many free-to-play pulls or whatever, who gives a shit, I'll pay some more money down the road. Add something like that. But if it's to engineer my mind into believing the content's better than it actually is, even though I don't need to do that on me, because I'm okay with it being repetitive. I don't need it to be a new zone every time. But because of the systems to do that, to get other people to like it, it's going to put me off the game, then I might not even play the game. So you end up losing players in the process. So you'll probably get more, and you've mathematically figured it out, so it's okay. But yeah, it's stupid nonetheless if that's what's going on. And that's all I can think of is the explanation. So that's my explanation. I have no proof. It's all speculation. But it's the only fucking thing that makes any sense to me. So that's the video.